Good morning.
Morning.
Morning. Oh, let me adjust my screen here. So, check in.
Check
We
in.
always check in, Karen. So,
Do.
check in with me. Where you at?
I guess I'll just start with a statement that we've said in the past. You say it all the time. And it's coming at me all week this week. It's not my journey.
But you have a journey in that journey.
It's not my journey.
That I understand, but you still have your version of events that are for you, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, no, totally. But I think what we talk about in coaching is that we have to be reminded when we're coaching somebody that it's their journey. And I think this week has been a really good way of seeing it so clearly that is just important to have in your line of sight.
It's a good reminder. It's a good set. Every time you open one of these, I find like there's a settling. It's like I can exhale. Because over the past several weeks, I've been go. And we talked about it last week. I said, if there's 5 minutes, I'm putting something in it because there's time. But maybe there's not time. And you just do it. And I had another one of those weeks, painting. So if you're not painting or cleaning up, you're trying to clean up the mess that you made that allowed you to paint. Anyway, so there's always like juggling of things. But I got to the finale of something this week, and it was weird for me because my deck stuff is all resolved. But it's this weird anticlimactic, like, well, that was it. Like I built it all up, 6-7 years of struggle, and it's done. I'm basically going to pay a fine. Mind you, I think I got lucky with the person that I got, the circumstances, the things that I said, or the intuition of the things I thought I needed to share. And even though there's a couple of things that maybe aren't perfectly up to code, they accepted what I did. So yeah, I'm going to pay a double permit cost, basically, because I did it early. So that's the only thing that remains is whatever my next $300 bill or whatever it is. So yeah, it was like, yay, I'm done. I don't know what I was expecting, but yeah, it's like the last chapter of the book was kind of like, oh, of course. That's it. So I actually think this kind of leads in well into the topic today. Hold on, I'm going to bring this up. The magic of metaphors. So you're walking on eggshells, and I got egg all over my face.
Two very common metaphors.
Yeah, common metaphors that we would use. But I've made a mountain out of a molehill. I mean, it could have been worse, and maybe I could have got the most severe building inspector there ever was, and I had to undo all the work and redo it. Like that, I guess that's potentially a possibility, but that's where my mind was for all those years. And wouldn't it have been a benefit to me if I had a coaching conversation maybe 5 years, 6, 7 years ago on this topic where I could have worked through this. And I think the magic of metaphors for me, like the reason why, is that it gets you out of your head, your spinning little mind, your bad neighborhood, and allows you to see it from a different perspective, but using visuals to help you feel it or see it differently than you would yourself. So I think that's the why behind metaphors for me, is giving people an opportunity to feel something differently through a visual instead of just the Yeah, the tick 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 of the thoughts in your head. What about you? Why do you use metaphors in coaching?
Well, it's part of what we're trained to do, and I think the intention is that it's easy. It just takes all that messy you just said out of your head. The thought it takes all this and makes it like you actually even started to sigh. You said
Mhm.
this whole sighing, breathing, and it's easy to hold, and it resonates with people, and I feel like it's you can remember it. Oh yeah, right. you know, uh, Whatever metaphor you're in, like I'm in the dryer and it's spinning really fast, and that's your current metaphor, and the other one is wait a minute, it's really warm in here, and maybe it's just to shift people into another way of being in their space,
Mhm.
and I find it provides a lot of, first of all, I think validation, but it also gives them a sense of, okay, wait, there's that alternate perspective. So
Mhm.
it's easy to shift over there now, and you can play with that metaphor more, and help them kind of go, what would that look like? And so you can create the conditions inside the metaphor.
Yeah, you can start to get them to play with you in it. I think there's something about playing in a metaphor. It's not as scary as the real world. So me and my deck, that's real world, right? But if you were to give me a metaphor that I could like step through, it gives me an opportunity to play with it without anything crashing down on me, right? The whole building crashing down on me. Um, I had a couple of like trajectories I wanted to take this. What makes a good metaphor for you?
Mm. Well, the interesting thing for me, and this was a struggle for me in when I was in my program, is that I'm much better at giving a word metaphor than a picture metaphor. So I struggled with, putting a current state with a drawing or a scenario, but I could use language and move people through. So a good metaphor to me, and I'll use my example in the coaching program. My very first metaphor was me, a stick person with all this, because I wanted to learn how to, take care of myself better. And it was all this big cup above my head of all the things that I do, and how people love me and how much I've accomplished. And they're all in this cup over my head. And then she put a red heart right here. And she says,
Mm.
but then there's this Karen's heart saying, well, what about me? What about me? And then she moved me over into a bicycle. You know, what if it isn't all about giving, that there's a cycle? And she started to get me to see that I could see it as not giving up, but creating space to receive.
Mm.
So it helped me, and I still remember it. Look at that. That was in 2003. So there's the other idea. It sticks with you. If it had been just a conversation, I wouldn't have been able to remember the details. But that metaphor was a powerful force with me. And it reminds me when I'm still, hanging on to the cup, because we go back, right? Oh God, you're there again. And then, okay, Karen, it's time for you to, my words, recovery, receive. So I have the bicycle metaphor to move, continue to remind myself, there's my way of being. This is how I want. This is what serves me now. So yeah, a picture that, honors where you are without, you know, it was such an honoring experience to recognize me as I am now, but also this possibility of, a longing that of another metaphor that I could move towards.
Um, I think what you're mentioning there is the coachee has to grab onto it. If they
Mm.
don't grab onto it, it's not the right metaphor. So the last time I coached you, you talked about curling, right? And I'm not sure if you mentioned rule book or I mentioned rule book, but in my head we were talking curling, so I already had like, I'm gonna talk about the house, and we're gonna like talk about hitting the button. And I had all this metaphor that it was like bubbling out of me. And I think I mentioned it, but you didn't grab onto it, but you did grab onto rule book. So I had to abandon the house because it wasn't your metaphor for this, but the rule book was. The rule book meant something to you. The fact that you could shape it, you could play with it, you could do something with it. You grabbed onto that. I had to be okay abandoning my great metaphor with all the rings around it. I had the whole thing set up, right? But if it's not, they have to grab it. And if they don't, you're walking yourself down a path that's not supportive anymore for your coachee.
Well, that's the playfulness part too, is you can offer it, but if they turn it down, then there's a real opportunity to co-create something together.
Yeah.
And so that's what I had to start to trust, was that sometimes I just didn't have one that I felt would land for that person. And so instead of pining over, oh my gosh, I don't know how to do this, I would come in with something, but play with them, listen to them, watch their eyes. And you pick that up real fast, Ian, on me.
Well, I trust heavily on intuition and some form of connection with the person and what they're going through. So there's a few that I will gravitate towards because I've used them frequently enough that like I have language around them, so they're comfortable. So I have my go-to 5 or 6 or whatever. Sometimes I'll get something completely out of the blue, but it just feels like it fits. So I'll throw it out there and see if they grab onto it. But most often I'll get clues from my coachee. They'll say something and then we'll go there. Like, I feel like I'm walking on eggshells. Well, that's a perfect metaphor for so many different things. So get them to describe what that feels like and why that is and why it has to be that way or whatever, right? Because they've already given you the clues to grab onto. Do you have a set of go-tos that you use?
No.
No?
No. Because I realized in my coaching program that was for me personally, that was getting in my way of being present. Again, like because I would have loved a list of metaphors, but I the way I show up, it's better for me. It's kind of like when we do our roadmaps. I can't write it all out. It just, that when we try to script me, it just, there's somewhere I go that doesn't serve me. So I typically will do it in the moment with them. Yet, there may be some, I unconsciously that just, we've done a lot of metaphors in our work, the river, the stepping stones, the balloon, like you can use language. So I may grab a visual,
right?
Like you feel weighed down. What's that chain around your ankle right now? I might ask a question like that. But yeah, I don't have. There's my answer. I don't, because it caused me so much angst in my program. I could not be present with that person.
I understand where you are, and if metaphors is something that maybe doesn't come naturally, because you said you use word metaphors more than you picture stuff. So I have several that I'll go to, and maybe it's because we teach people and we have the ones that we've slotted in to support the learning. So we have a visual to go with it. We can talk about it so people can see it, they can feel it. And then we use the language throughout our, whatever that training is that day. Let's say it's the river metaphor. Oh, there it is. I got wet again. It's a playful journey through it. So maybe that's why I have several in my repertoire. But there's a few that I'll often use. Like if somebody's struggling with a career choice or whatever, I'll talk about it as if you were dating. Like if you go to the bar. So what if, okay, so how much weight do you put in on that one connection that you have at the bar? Is it you're not getting married that night, right? Hopefully you're not in Vegas. So you've got an opportunity to like see it and feel it from a different, with a different lens on, and not be married to an idea.
I think those are fantastic ways to launch into, to get people out of whatever the heaviness of their what they're focusing on, and another way of seeing it aligned to something else.
Yeah. And again,
I think that comes really naturally to you, Ian. I think this is just in you naturally, and when you practice it more and more and more, it comes more naturally to you too. And having some, examples to launch off of, or parallels like what you're describing there, they're just helpful. Like, oh yeah, right. I can relate to that, and I'm not attached to that because I'm not dating right now. So it's easier for me to, okay, right. If I look at it from that perspective, how would it really resonate with a career change or putting my application together?
But again, I guess your coachee's telling you whether or not it resonates or not, and they'll continue to play with you or not on that topic. There's some slippery slopes though that happen with metaphors though. Like if you're attached to yours, no, it's a really good one. It's the chewing gum one. You suck on your. I don't chew gum. I don't step in. Like I don't get that. Like no, it's really good. You're trying to like make it work for them. So there's that, and then there's taking over the conversation because you're so attached to your version of this thing. So you're giving it all this flowery language and whatnot, and then you take over the conversation because we want them to be exploring the metaphor. You're just giving it to them as a vehicle for them to explore their topic more, or explore themselves within their topic. It's not to we're not creating like literation in a book or whatever, right? It's for them to talk.
Yeah, and to not overplay the metaphor. Maybe keep it in the background, drop it in, and then, because it's now in them, and it just frees them up. So sometimes we get so attached, we think we have to talk about it now for the next, okay, well, if it was the dating game, instead of just saying, okay, we gave them the switch, they're there, they still want to talk about their topic, they have a sense of, okay, I don't need to take this, I can take it as I don't need to get married. So that might be what landed for them. They don't need the metaphor to carry them through the conversation.
Yeah.
Right. So that's the other thing, is dropping it in and seeing it almost as it's a visual, and they're now in the conversation. They're saying, well, if it was my bike, here's how I would ride it. If they grab it, if it becomes really important to navigate, but maybe it's just a vision now they have, and you freed them up. So it could be just literally a temporary. I have to say, like last week, can I give an example that you did? And I don't know if you picked it up last week after our test check perfect feedback session. We had someone stay behind and was talking about the power of asking open-ended questions and the work they're doing to continue that practice with their team. And she said, you remember Ian, the W? And she put it on her forehead. And I do remember in that session, you were being playful, and you put that on your forehead, and we were doing the train the trainer.
I don't even remember this W thing. I don't even know what that is.
I remember it was in Ottawa, and you did this in the room.
What's it in reference to? I now, at least I'm in the room now. I know where I was.
What, when, where?
Oh,
the why, like to open, and she's never forgotten that. Now, and that's truly,
and I have, because it probably was intuitive and had nothing to do with like me consciously preparing to do something. Because
I know, and so I was giggling so it's interesting when you picked this topic. I wanted to kind of give that back to you, because even putting it on someone's forehead, like like, and she's never that stuck with her forever.
Yeah.
So that will be the second thing I think needs to be. In our work, we talk about this really simple. Like less is more. So it's easy to remember. So I just wanted to give that back to you, because after we hung up, I actually remembered that moment you were in the room. and everybody, and you made her laugh for sure, but everybody, it was like, oh, the W's.
That's crazy. I didn't even pick up on that. I know she said, Ian, you're in my head, or I like you're right there with me, or something like that. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad something that we did stuck with you. But this is, it's not even in my, it's not a regular thing that I would have, I'm not even sure I've ever done it before or after that.
We were having fun.
Of course.
And that was really, at that particular time, I think that might have been one of our last face-to-faces. And it was just a really interesting, cool thing. We had the tennis. We were doing a little bit more playful stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it actually fostered play in us too.
Well, we did take the shot on that one as well.
We did.
We had actually had people throwing either paper balls or balls into a cardboard box or something. So yeah, I think anytime you can get somebody out of their habitual way of dealing with a problem, they get to see it differently, they get to hear it, they get to feel it in a way that wouldn't happen without the play. And if it resonates, it's going to stick, like that participant there. So yeah, it's cool. It's good to know we're doing stuff that sticks.
Yeah, no, it is a skill. Like, it is a practice, and it really, it helps in many, many ways in all aspects of life, not just in the coaching conversation. It's, you can make it simple, and even when you're out on the curling ice, if your mantra is to have fun, you can create a little, we used to create a little, like, 1, 2, 3 statement, to remind ourselves to have fun. There's just so many ways that you can put yourself in the mindset and the way you want to approach something.
Yeah.
And I think that's what in my opinion, I don't, like I said, I'm not, as I'm my self-declaration of being, what did I would say, not the strongest metaphor monster. I think, I know enough to know that the value proposition of that, and maybe that's what I would say. And I do it even though that's not my bench strength. I see its intention, and I do put them out there in my way.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't stay attached. You're right. It's so important.
When you said at the very beginning that you don't have like a visual one or whatever, but you use language. What do you mean when you say I use language?
Well, like I would use their words, like you just called yourself a difficult colleague. Is that who you are? How does that show up? And then get them to say, well, really, who are you in the end? And if you'll get them to name what that looks like and where it comes from, and then ask yourself, well, what do others say about you? And then get that person to name what that colleague title would be. So it often can shift their opinion of themselves.
Mm-hmm.
And they find out it's not even grounded.
Yeah, I think that's what you're discovering, right? Or at least challenging them to look at it to see, is this the truth for me, or is there some nuance to this that they're not noticing?
Well, it could be an internal thing. So that allows the conversation to go, well, what is it that would help? What are you trying to make happen here? What would be something that would shift you from the way you feel right now? What needs to be developed in you to feel that different way about yourself? Because if it's not validated out here, it's still pretty darn real in here. So you don't dismiss it.
Right. Yeah, they're still going through what they're going through, but we're trying to help them see it differently so that it can get unstuck and moving, or whatever that looks like for them.
Which we teach in the feedback model, that we have a hard time hearing good things about ourselves sometimes, and oh, well, no, that was no big deal, or oh, no. So the tool that says all you can say is thank you and receive that. And I mean, the last couple of weeks, I'm getting that kind of feedback, and I feel my constant resistance to accepting that as, a generous gift to me.
Yeah, absolutely.
Practicing thank you again.
A good reminder for all of us, I'm sure. definitely reside in that space.
It might be fun, Ian, for I think that could be a cool workshop for us to consider in the fall. You know, like just playfully working with how to do that.
with
So
with
add
what?
that to the list.
Sorry, are you talking about metaphors or is accepting?
No, metaphors.
Space?
Metaphors. Sorry. Metaphors.
I need work on both. It's fine.
Yeah, but I really like this topic because it's so relevant in so many places to be able to communicate now.
I think it has a similar kind of feel to the practice that we created for the conversation dance, right? So not being married to your metaphor, throwing it out there, seeing if it sticks. Does your spaghetti stick to the wall? No. Okay, then I need a new. Got to throw in a different one, or see what they come back with. Sometimes they'll say, "Hey, yeah, that doesn't resonate. It's more like X," and then you go with X. So there's always clues to bounce off of. So as long as you're not attached to your version of how you want to take it, allow them to steer it on your behalf. So yeah, that could be fun. Could be fun. I don't have anything else on metaphors. Do you?
No, I feel pretty complete. I was happy that you picked this because I do feel that this is your wheelhouse, and sharing, you know, your whys and how you create them and make them happen inside of you. I think that's really useful for all of us. Your gift is very much appreciated in this area.
Now let's try to how do you teach what you feel is innate? It's interesting, but I'm sure we'll find a way. And actually, that's what. So we're taking a little break. We're going to take the month of July off, correct?
Yes.
Come back in August. And our goal is to create a series of workshops for the fall that are all kind of planned out, dates, times, topics, so that we are giving what the people want for our next series of workshops. So we'll be back in August. Probably take August to do a bunch of that planning, and then hopefully launch some things for September, October, November. So look out for that. When we do have workshops, they'll be use the QR code and you can get there, and it should be a fun new set of practices, and maybe some oldies that are there's still lots of value and depth that we can go into. That's all I got.
See you in a month.
All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Enjoy your summer.